Welcome to another episode of Cohesia Connects, Connecting Conversations. And it's actually been a really good, I think, a series of conversations we've had of recent. We've been speaking about envy, we've been speaking about complex dynamics that either it propels you into doing something that's inspirational, it propels you into positive space of actually like, I need to assess where my discontent is as to why that feeling kicks in. And seeing also like how we can kind of use that to our advantage in terms of bringing in a filter of gratitude and also just like really assessing like where does this stuff come from. We've spoken like even in this formative years as a child in family dynamics, is that where we first experience our senses of envy. But I wanted to talk about like all of these things actually kind of help to build up to something a little bit more, and particularly when we've spoken about like when we become inspired to kind of fulfill the things that we know is inside of us. But also what that looks like in the outworking. And this is where I feel like, how do people get to those goals? I think in my previous conversation with you, I was talking about like when I see, as a singer, other singers on platforms and stages, I cry a little bit because I'm like, I know that that's supposed to be me in some shape or form. And I know that I haven't quite grasped what I feel it's supposed to be. And I imagine a lot of people connect with that. They know that they have something inside of them they feel really strongly that they should be doing. And how do we get to those goals? And I think one of the things that we spoke about was just like, have I really done everything that it takes to actually see that goal come to fruition? And like, I think what I find when I listen to many people that have broken through success kind of spaces with their gift or with that thing that they felt really passionate about bringing to market and entrepreneurship or in something that's given them a really large platform or a state of success, is actually their mindset and navigating probably like a million no's and a million closed doors before they got that one open door, which has now given them this floodgate of new success. And they're living what they believed was that initial vision. And this is something that I think has been a tough transition. Certainly for me, coming from one career path in education into the entrepreneurial space in terms of the business that we do with culture engagement, and in like specifically corporate, and then balancing education roles and bridging that gap between young people entering into the workplace. It's a different world altogether, it's a different mindset. And this has been quite a big thing because there are days where I'm like, because it's so new, I struggle with like, am I doing the right thing? Are we ever doing the right thing? Are we doing the right thing? It doesn't look like it's materializing. Like at which state of the ladder of no's am I at before, we get to that open door? And a lot of that kind of success to go from one kind of like or one step in the ladder is going to be based on how we dealt with the story we've told ourselves and how we are navigating that mindset that takes us from one step on the ladder to the next step, because we can get off at any step. But I just wanted to talk some more about that because I think maybe this is something that other people relate to. How to find that balance. I think for me, like, I really struggle with it because I'm just like, I don't know if I have quite the mindset for someone to be as successful as I think. And I wanted to share as well, like, I listened to Leela and I can't remember what her husband's name is. Leela Hormozi and her husband. And they are hugely successful. Like, they were successful, but like they've seen the efforts of their work. But we're talking about over an expanse of 10 years. It wasn't an overnight thing. And she talks really openly on her podcast, which I find really encouraging. Just about like, look, at the end of the day, if I'm not reaching my goals, I need to really look internally in terms of why am I not there. And she'll use like really everyday examples, which I appreciate. I think one example she said is like, I know that when I go to dinner, she's American, when I go to dinner and I know like if I have more bread, that leads to another martini or a drink or a beverage of sorts. And then it means to like, I'm going to be, if I continue down this track, I'm going to end up 10 pounds heavier or something like that. And she's like, it's making those decisions then. And that's what I wanted to talk about in terms of the mindset, is those small decisions. And I think about like why, and I think just that whole concept really has made me evaluate like, do I have the right mindset for the success that I think that I feel that I'm supposed to be accessing? Or I see that my gifts should have, the space that they should have to do their job. And it's not even about me. I always know, like, if people don't actually fulfill the dreams or the great things that is placed inside of them, it's actually not just about them. That thing is sometimes always the catalyst to open a door for someone else. If I didn't show up, for example, and provide that cure, I don't know how many lives I could have saved if I just didn't do what I needed to do to keep pursuing it. And that's an extreme example, but like I literally feel like for some people this might be a trajectory of one path of success over another, and it's not just about you, it's actually about what your gift is meant to be doing for wider people out there. But like there is always this mindset about like, how do I get from where I am now, that's the dream phase, into the actual fruition phase, and seeing that realized. And I think it's a tough space.
And it's a lot of hard work. And I think people neglect that sometimes these things do take a lot of hard work. It's like you rightly said, it's not an overnight thing. It's not something that you do today, you're going to see the results immediately. And it brings me back, I think we touched on it in our previous discussion about this hustle culture, and I wanted to like delve into that further because the hustle culture is real now. It's like everyone going in, working, 40 plus hours a week, and it's just insane in order to reach your goal. And I'm just like, is that even healthy? Is that sustainable? Because if you then work so much, okay, you might reach your goals, but then what do you have left of your sanity, your well-being, your health, your yourself in general? What's that going to result to? And I think we need to take some time to think about realistically what our goals mean for us, from a holistic level, and not just seeing, I want to be rich one day. Because yes, you can be rich, but you can also be lonely. You can also have depression. You can also so on and so forth.
What's it going to cost you?
What is it going to cost you? And I think we look so much about our goals, but we don't do a cost analysis when it comes to our goals. And I think that's really important in developing a healthy growth mindset, because yes, we have ambitious goals that we want to reach, but you also need to understand what sacrifice, what's it going to cost you in order for you to attain that goal. And we don't do enough of that costing, because we see it kind of as a barrier. We see it as a speed bump in the road. It's going to delay us. It's going to do all sorts. But if you don't consider those things, your goal is going to take much longer. You probably may never reach it. And if you do, you probably won't have the success that you really want to, because you'd have lost so many things on the way that you would have needed to for when you get to that point. So it's really important that we understand to do that cost analysis when it comes to our goal. Okay, I want to, be 70 kg by the end of this year. But what is that going to cost me? Not going out all the time, not eating Chinese every week.
Hard sacrifice. I mean,
waking up early in the mornings to go to the gym, to get my workout in before I even go to work. It's those things. And if we don't take our time to really say, okay, these are the things that's going to cost me. Am I willing? And is it something that I really want to do?
Right.
Am I going to be intentional about it?
Right.
And am I going to be consistent about it? Because we all know we make these great New Year's resolutions at the start of January. Everyone's really pumped and going for the year. And then it comes to like July and everyone's just like, I am tired now. And there is no kind of reflection as to how far you've reached or what you've achieved so far. And don't get me wrong, I probably need to go and relook at my goals. Saying this is a reminder for myself.
Yeah, 100% same. We are not preaching to the, like, we haven't arrived yet. We're kind of figuring it out as well.
Yeah, we're talking and we're still navigating this life and this journey. But yes, I admit I need to go back and, reflect on my goals and see where I need to be and see what I need to do and how far what I've achieved thus far. But, when I remember when I was setting up my goals, I not only set up my goals, but I set out all the actions that I needed to do in order to achieve that. So if that's like going for a workout, when I was going to go for a workout, how many times a week I was going to go for a workout, is it that I'm going to follow a routine or, get a PT or whatever it may be? These are the things that it would cost. And there would also be a financial burden. Am I financially in a space to invest in this particular goal? And I think we just, make these beautiful vision boards. We make these good, fun games and goals at the start of the year, but then there's no follow through. And I think that's the sticking point. If you really like, the most successful people, they are the most determined, they're the most consistent, and they're the ones that are actively doing everything 1% better, not 10%, not 100% better than the previous day, but with those small incremental steps to get better in order for them to reach their goals. And if we're not doing that, it is like compound interest. There is a small stuff leading up to the way, and then in 5-10 years time, you're going to look back and be like, gosh,
look how far we've
look
come.
how far, look at the impact that I've made. It's not just me. If I'm a much healthier person, I can then have a better relationship with friends, family, and whoever I engage with. So it's really about understanding those small steps. It's about the consistency, it's about the impact, and then it's also about internalizing, how much do I really want to achieve this goal. I don't know how much that resonates with you.
100%. Like, it really does. And I think I've never heard it not heard it in terms of, I think I never think about, when I listen to these really incredible, successful people's podcasts, a lot of the time what I hear is like, I'm willing to do what it takes. Do you have what it takes? And when we talk about that, we don't really talk about the holistic view. Like, yeah, that means that probably they had to cut out a lot of relationships, time in their life. Certain sacrifices definitely had to. Am I willing to pay that cost? Actually, depending on your life and the context you have, that may not always be possible. So your trajectory or speed of getting to your goals will look different to that person. So yes, there will always be some fantastic principles. And I think it's important to have some of those realities, as part of your input when you're developing something, or you feel like there is a goal that I have. What are the things that I can pick up in terms of learn from others that will help me to get there? But at least in terms of like, you have an understanding of like, that is what it's going to cost. So if in order for me to pay that price, what does that look like in my world? Because I think if you don't have that, then you are just going in blind, and actually you don't really have a sense of reality in terms of direction. This is what it's actually going to take. But I love what you've also raised there in terms of like, you need to do a holistic assessment of what that's going to cost you in your life. And are you ready to make those sacrifices? And are you okay? Like, are you able to? And I love that you brought in like the fitness and health thing, because we're talking about this more. People don't like, I put this on the side. I was this person 100%. Like, my prioritization was either work is more important than me going for a walk. Work was more important than, I'll just grab something because I'm hungry now. But was I eating the right thing? And like, I definitely suffered with that from not taking care of that. And I'm still dealing with those repercussions now. And that, I'm just like, if I had just invested in pushing there, and it was just making small decisions, and this is where it comes into your compound interest, idea. I think that really makes a difference. Like, the body that you have now is what you deserve, because that's what you invested in 10 years ago. And that's a hard reality, but that's one area. But like, this is something, like you said, it impacts everything. If you don't have the health and the strength to run around after a family, or to be well enough to take care of a family, or to be well enough to do your job, or just have a quality of life, like that, you're paying that cost, but you're paying it later rather than paying it through the small decisions there. And I think that principle can be adopted even when we think about goals to like other accomplishments and achievements, like where there's like, if we're building a business, which we are, and this has been, we've actually celebrated 2 years this year. We don't know where the time went. It is amazing. And we've learned so much in terms of, firstly, the education of a mindset that we need to adopt. And I'm still finding my way there. I definitely know, coming from a very different career space in education into corporate, it's just like, this is a different game. And I feel like way out of my depth. But in the same breath, I'm like, I've still also seen like, I have lots of value to bring here. And learning how to combine those has been like probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned. So, and I know that more stuff is getting quicker. We're getting better with how we talk about what we do, and getting more confident about sharing our story, because we are here to help people. We're not just here to sell something. You learning, stuff like that, and learning what that takes has been like a whole new thing. And I think like leaning into that space and finding out and meeting other people along the road about how that has kind of like, this is how I did it, follow my footsteps here, because we're now in the world of that, has been just incredible. But it's definitely, I think, shifted and has called me into account. And like, what I thought was hard work, I had no clue what it meant to have hard work. And if you're someone who's looking for, trying to, I don't know, do a degree in 4 years, what are you going to do about that?
100%.
It's whatever that achievement or goal looks like. It's really having that honest conversation with yourself. And a lot of it's going to take, and this word is almost like a swear word, but it's consistency. And whether that's consistency, I need to turn up every week to engage with this game.
Yeah.
Engage with this thing. What are you doing? Even if you give yourself, if you set yourself a target, and you build on that. But it's consistency. If it's consistency every week, consistency every day, be consistent, and you will see, like you said, that compound interest.
Yeah. And another one that popped into my head as well, again, probably one that people probably dislike, is accountability. When you are seeking to achieve your goals and go forth and do something you're really passionate about, you're going to have to be accountable to yourself. You're going to have to be accountable to the people that you may be serving, but you probably will need people to hold you to account, because there are going to be days when you don't feel like you want to get up in the morning and go
and do that thing.
You're going to need someone on your back to help you to be more accountable. And I think we sometimes take accountability partners for granted, and I'm so grateful to do this journey with you, because we both can keep each other accountable when it comes to things within the business. But when you are achieving goals in general, there are going to be days when you don't feel motivated. There are going to be days when you just hide me underneath the sheets. I don't want to see the world. That was probably me this week, and I was just I want to distance myself. And so no. But there are going to be those moments, and you're going to need that extra bit of motivation, and it's not going to come from you, but from someone else or from something else to get you up and get you going again. And I think for a long time, and probably even it's going to continue, we don't like to take ourselves to account when things don't go the way it should.
Yeah, I think we've also, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I think we're also in a little bit of a society that is afraid to take constructive criticism.
Oh my gosh.
And I do wonder if this also leans into it, maybe in a harder space now. We want to get out there, we feel like we're working hard, but the minute someone else is like, I see that you're working hard, but actually you could do this and this and this to optimize your game. And I've seen people how dare this person speak to my, and then they take it really personally, and they actually cannot take that person is saving you from going around the same cycle so many times before you actually need to get to your goal. And we've become, I think, and I would say it's probably it's a pride issue actually. We become so oversensitive to actually hear constructive criticism, to hear and like you say, somebody honestly speak about and call you into account, your standards are pretty shoddy. If you really think this is great, you're not, and not because somebody is looking to be mean. That's a really big distinction. When we're talking about accountability partners or people that we're happy to invite into the process, is we know that they care more about us and they care more about our goals, because we know how that will make them feel.
And they're not aligned with our goals as well.
100%. And they are more concerned about, I know, for example, we speak about accountability with business. It's I want to keep pushing you to where I know you want to be, because I know that you'll feel fulfilled. And when the days that you're I'm giving up today, Carla, I'm just my accountability kind of role for you is I just want to remind you, this day is not going to stay this way. And if we let this go now, it could lean into tomorrow and then another day, and then you've set yourself back. That's a kind way of doing it, but that's what we talk about, accountability. 100%. And sometimes if you are a hard-headed person, you need someone that knows your personality, that is not afraid to stand up to you and say, look, no, you are running into a brick wall, and I'm going to stop you now because I can see danger and you are so caught up in yourself. Who is brave enough to take on those people in their lives? Let's be very honest. And if we really want to be successful, we need to be good with people that are not just yes.
Yeah. I literally couldn't agree with you anymore, because it, from a practical sense, for instance, if you're doing a piece of a project, let's say a written project, and you've been doing it for a week long, you're going to get so consumed doing it. That's all you're going to see. Your mind is going to be focus on this thing. But then there's someone else on the outside coming in to review or, look over your work or whatever it may be. Or you may ask them to look over it for you. And they're just oh, by the way, there is this thing, there's that thing. Carla likes to say, my sentences are very long.
Only because I was guilty of the same thing.
So Carla would be like, Evelkah, that's a really long sentence.
Hey, we recognize our strengths out here, okay? We're all learning together, okay?
But it's things like that you don't pick up on because you're so tunnel vision on your goals and you want to get there, but you forget that there are people on the outside who can help you see what you don't see in those blind spots. And I think it's really important, and that's what accountability partners are there for, to help you see those blind spots, to help you, say, actually, this is probably not the right path, or this is probably not the right resource to use.
I can show you an alternative way.
Yeah. Have you considered, I can do this, or let me help you with this, and so on and so forth. And I think that's really, really valuable in an accountability partner relationship. Once they can, see the bigger picture, because sometimes you're just so consumed with that one thing, that one task, that one goal, you don't quite see how it fits into your wider lifestyle or livelihood.
And I think if we take a bit of a step back, I think for me it feels, and this might just be unique to my journey and my process with growth mindset, is actually this really crucial area of accountability and bringing people on the journey is probably one of the most undervalued areas about what it means to have growth mindset. And I think, and part of the growth is like, I'm willing to not stay the same. I'm willing to adapt. I'm willing to get bigger. In other words, in order to get there, I need someone to teach me. Sometimes life will teach you, but like even in some people, life can teach you and they become hardened by it and they don't move forward and they don't progress. But it means that we have to be it's a space of teachability, or a space of humility, actually, about like knowing that I don't have all the answers. Who do I need to align myself with? And that will require a bit of it's a humility posture to receive from someone else. And a lot of the time, like this I've just seen this in the kind of like the big ocean of people. You can tell there's just like, sometimes there is a strong attitude of like, no, it's me, self-actualized, I can make it, and I'm doing this all of myself, look what I have done. But a lot of the time, anybody that's ever reached somewhere that's really influential and really like successful, and I think when I say the word success, and we've spoken about success before, success is more than just material gain and material manifestation of the thing that you have. What it also means is like, there is something about you that has grown to sit at that new table or to sit at that new space. Talk about like, if we're traveling up a mountain, when you're at that mountaintop, you can't have the same mentality. You've got a different view than when you're at the base. So like, if that's really the case, then like, a lot of people talk about who have really made it and have really appreciated their sense of like what the success means, is the fact that it's the people that got them there. A lot of the time people will think, if it wasn't for X, Y, and this person, this mentor, this person that told me no, this person that saved me from myself, this person that would basically tell me no in a boardroom, or say like, I love your idea, but if we do it this way, it's going to go wrong. Here's a better way. And be open to receiving that input. Like, this is something that we need to take quite seriously if we want to be people of growth mindset. If we want to actually see that dream growing to fruition, you and I don't always have all the skills to get it to that platform. Someone else does. But if we are hard-headed and we are closed-minded to the growth mindset and this big element of accountability, we are unlikely, I think, to get to the space that we have envisioned, because you're not meant, if you really had it all together, then you would have got there. But a lot of the time, when we have these really big passions or things that we know that's designed for us to do, it requires a journey of other people helping to actually propel us to that space. No one really gets there alone. I think there's an African proverb that says, if you want to go somewhere fast, go alone. If we want to go as far, then you go together. And that is, I think, depending on what your definition is of success, I want to go far. I think my idea of success is I want to be influential. And with influence will come material gain. I don't doubt that. But the most important thing is, what am I leaving behind? And that turns into legacy. And if I want someone to adopt my legacy, then I need to make sure that I have led through a way of a path that demonstrates there's accountability, there's humility. I didn't get there on my own, because that teaches how other people have to do it.
Yeah, no, I definitely see like myself navigating that journey in terms of the people that I've met along the way. And there are some incredible people that, including yourself, that has, really propelled me to the journey that I am going forward in. And, I'm just laughing to myself because I remember there was a time I was speaking to someone who I was dating, and I was very much independent. I'm just like, nope, nope, nope. They they would ask, "Oh, have you eaten today?" Like, what? Why do you care? Like, of course I've eaten.
Just trying to take care of you.
I was just like, well, that's a stupid question. Of course I've eaten. I'm human. I get hungry. Like, duh.
This is a terrible conversation.
But then as I started to release that sense of, what kind of question is this, and more in terms of actually they care, and that's their sense of caring, and it also made me realize that I could also let someone else in to care about me, because that's another thing about growth mindset, is allowing or
100%.
giving space, and inviting people in, as you've said, to support you. You can't do it alone. And I was under the impression for a while that I could, and I'm going to be very honest, that I definitely thought that I don't need anyone. I can do it. Like, I really can, even though I hire a gardener to clean my garden because I refuse
There's no shame in that. Get it done. Get it done.
But when there are people who are actually trying to help me and trying to care about me, or even offering, can I get you this? Would that make it easier for you because you're really busy and stuff like that? And I'm just like, I can get it myself. But I was so resistant to that help, and now I'm a lot more open to the fact that I can't just keep up with this behavior. It's not going to be healthy. I don't want to be alone for the rest of my life. And if I can do it in a pursuit of my professional career, why don't I want someone to help me even in my personal life? Like, what's the difference? And I think for me, especially in terms of my professional career, I really relied on people and help getting people on board and pushing me to rooms that I probably wouldn't have never been in if I was doing it on my own.
Yeah.
But I didn't replicate that in my personal life, and I just started.
But in saying that, I just want to also just give space for what you just mentioned. I don't think what you experience, and even that mindset at the time, is not as uncommon. I think a lot of people have also been super hurt. Like, life has taught people to be a little bit more distrustful. So when we talk about growth mindset, about actually basically letting down walls and barriers to allow people to actually speak into your life or to bring positive input. It's about discerning who's going to be bringing something and not taking something away. Now, a lot of people have had the takeaway experience, and what you get is the thought that you were in, which is like, I've needed to make this happen on my own because actually I don't know who I can trust. And I think this is another part of growth mindset. I imagine it's like, it's beginning to actually discern about the people who's going to bring value, and not just like, I need you to bring value to my life. Like, am I able to actually, any interaction that you have with anyone is never just one way. That means there's a responsibility that I have, or there's a part that I'm going to play in that interaction. So I best make sure that I'm also someone who's trustworthy so that I can earn people's trust. I best make sure that I'm also here to input value to someone's life. Good counsel, like if they need an accountability, or people that they feel like, I can trust this person, they look judging you by your work ethic, make sure you're bringing that to the table as well, for people to look like, yeah, this is worth my time to invest in great mentorship or whatever else they could do. That's how we get the progress happening, with the use of utilizing other people as part of that journey.
For me, I didn't actually, that's a good point that you raised, because I didn't actually think of growth mindset. And I think for me, growth mindset has always been like, just me. I'm just focused on me. But you're quite right. Like, there is a point where when you are, journeying, you are growing, you are becoming more mature in your opinions, your thoughts, your beliefs, and so on and so forth. There is a turning point where that actually becomes, it's not about me, but it's about other people, and it's about how I impact other people in what I say, do, and so on. So I think that's quite it was almost like a light bulb moment, because we do have that point where, okay, yes, I'm going to achieve this goal, but we never realize how that may impact other people around us, or what, achieving that goal might look like. Because it could look like, okay, I want to become rich, but what does that actually mean for people around you? How's that going to impact your family, or how's that going to impact your friends? Are your friendship groups going to change? Are you going to start acting different? What are you going to do with that now, newly found wealth, for instance? And I think we don't really think about the reverse impact that can have, because we just focus on pushing it out. We want to do this. This is what we want to do. We just, focus on oneself rather than
It's
others.
so interesting that you say them. I think that's so true. People always talk about, like, when people acquire material success, then sometimes they really notice who their friends were. I'm going to throw a spanner in the works. Call me controversial, but this is just a question that I'm posing. I don't have an answer for it, so I'm posing it out there. It's like, I do wonder if it was ever about the wealth or about the person as well. Like, people that are building, I'm not talking about the instantaneous lottery winners, very different scenario. But when we're talking about those engaging with growth mindset because they know this is part of their process of achieving the success and the thing that they're building, there's a journey of development of the person there. And I think along that way, you're going to attract like-minded people, right? You are going to be impacting the people around you in that process. So if you have a family that you're close with and they see you all the time, your development and what's happening in terms of either they're on board with that vision or they're not, even on that process, you're already drawing different borders and boundaries in terms of how much accessibility that they have for you. And like, when you get to that state of success, like, actually by the time you get there, should your circle look that different if they went along there with you? Because you getting there, if we're going through this route that we're speaking about now, not the instantaneous lottery winner scenario, you are building towards something, and it doesn't take 5 minutes. It's over time. The friendship groups would have evolved anyway. The people close that has access to you would have evolved anyway. You hope that you have a supportive family, or you hope at least you have a family that respects you. They might get to a place where, like, even if they've not been negative, by your consistency and your ethics of how you've navigated your journey, it causes them to, like, actually, there is fruit showing from here. So even though I don't understand it, I'm going to either keep my mouth quiet, or I understand why they separate themselves from me. Does that make sense? So, like, should it really look that surprising when we get there?
I don't have an answer to that, but it just made me reflect on a common saying that your net worth is your network.
Oh dear. I need to work on that.
So I do think from that acknowledgement, yes, there is a transformation or a transition of your circle, because it's not going to look the same. The same people that were riding with you at the start may be envious and they might drop off.
Yeah.
They, you
just go in different directions.
You go in different directions, and that's okay too. Or, things that happen, life changes, circumstances change. So a lot of that would have shifted who you interact with. And the more that you speak to people who are more like-minded, the more you make friends within that newly found circle. I remember, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say this anyway because no filter, safe space. But when I was going through my breakup a couple of years ago, my ex said something that stuck with me. And he said, I'm sure you're going to find someone, in one of your professional circles anyway.
Interesting.
And I'm just like, I don't know if you realize the impact of what you've just said, because you're literally handing me over to the people that think more like me and the people that I'm going to soon surround myself with, because you can't be in that circle. And, I don't think, I reflect on that conversation, and deep down, I was just like, of course I will, because why wouldn't I? But it also made me reflect that even at that point when I was navigating that breakup with him, he realized my circle was changing. He realized I was shifting, and he almost realized that he couldn't fit into my newfound life or journey.
Couldn't go with you.
He couldn't go with me, and there will be people that unfortunately just can't be on the journey,
and that's okay.
And
but
that's
it's just like realizing, like, that's just not the right fit for the direction where it aligns with, that happens to be in a path that you're traveling to.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, even in that moment, as a tough space where that context of that conversation came out, I think everybody acknowledges that about, like, if I'm going to get to where I'm going to go, it's going to look a certain way with the people that go there with me. And that could, this is obviously a relationship context, but this actually can be translated to so many things, couldn't it?
Yeah, totally. And I look at my, friendship group now. There are some people that I don't speak to. There are some people that I really engage with, and there are people that I speak to more. And there are new people that have entered into my circle, and I'm, internally grateful. But I've literally seen that shift happen in the last 2 years, and it's been crazy. There's people that have left, but they've been amazing people that have come into my life, and I'm just like, this is great. Like, there's I've been introduced to so many different perspectives, ideas, and, it has fueled me with, the confidence. It has fueled me with the knowledge that I needed to take the next step, or, to be ambitious and, go for something that I felt I'm not that qualified, but I'm going to go for it anyway and take that risk. It was being in those circles and hearing people's journey and hearing people talk. I'm just like, okay, this is what it feels like when people actually say, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And I'm so much of an advocate when it comes to progress, and not just success, but just progress in life and your goals and, achieving your achievements. I'm all about, okay, I need to be around people who can understand the vision too, who can pick me up to be accountable, who can help me to be consistent, who will be able to be there when I'm having a really difficult day. I don't really want to hear you talk about how great I am. I just want you to come and cry with me sometimes and just sit there and just be there. And I think when we're going on this journey of growth, it's not linear. It is so complicated, and it's so up and down. And I don't think we realize how complex it is. And sometimes you may take 5 steps forward, and then you end up taking a few steps back, and it's just the journey of life. And there will be increased emotions, there will be doubt, there will be worry, but then there will also be celebrations and achievements. And I think it's about time that we strive for that growth mindset. It's going to be uncomfortable, like anything new in life is going to be uncomfortable, but it's all about how we embrace it.
I think I've loved hearing this term, which I'm sure many have heard this before, and I've heard people say that what we should be striving for, it's progress, not perfectionism. And I think if we know that we're still taking one step further, and we're still focusing on the direction, even if sometimes we get knocked back a couple of steps, that you're getting up to try and take another step in that direction, that is what actually matters. That approach is a good sign and demonstration of growth mindset being at play. And I think this is what we want. I think if we had a growth mindset, we would find ourselves releasing so much of our potential. They say that the graveyard is probably the richest place in the world. I've heard there was an author that said that, and I can't remember their name, so it's not my quote, just to be clear. Because there's so many unfulfilled potentials and dreams that have not been made real, like books that were supposed to be written, plays that should have been written, films that should have been made, cures that should have been discovered, languages that were to be untapped. So many things. And like, if someone was to take and we'd heard this today, I think in today's sermon as well, which I think about it.
That's what was going through my head.
Somebody said to the pastor that, I had this dream, and what they felt was demonstrated to them in the dream was that actually they were only using 10% of their potential. And when they woke up, it was petrifying, actually, because they're like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I wake up, I allow myself into a cycle that doesn't break through or doesn't push through. It costs discipline. Growth mindset costs us to make ourselves uncomfortable. And I think you alluded to this earlier. But growth mindset means like, I've got to try things. If it's not working this cyclical way, it's about breaking traditions of how mum and dad might have done it. It might be like, I need to leave the area or else it's not going to shift. I'm going to fall into the same trap and the cycle of dysfunctions that I've seen, that I have a choice today to make. And those are tough decisions to make. We're not saying here like, oh, it's so easy, just do it. And if you can't, you're a failure. We recognize the gravitas of it. We recognize also that challenge for this person might be different for another person's challenge. But do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it scared, actually, because once you break through that wall, you actually become unstoppable. And I would rather, for me personally, I think I've got to this point, and I'm in a different season to you anyway, but like, I want to leave this earth empty. I don't want to have any regrets. Like, I wish I tried this.
Yeah.
I wish I had done this. I want to leave this earth empty of all the things that were potential dreams. Like, I want to exhaust it, even if it doesn't go like you say earlier, and it doesn't become this massive thing. I did my all.
Yeah.
And when I say did my all, did my all what I thought was good, or did my all but seeking support, seeking like education on it, seeking other people that have done it? Have I really done all to get it where? Did I turn up properly for that thing? And that's what I think growth mindset should kind of look like, and I'm walking and striving towards it every single day.
Yeah, I think beautifully said, and I think that's a great way for people to sit and reflect on, because it's not an easy journey. And the key word that stuck with me is discipline. I don't think we're as disciplined as we should be when it comes to our goals, me included.
Big hands up to that one as well.
I do think we need to strive for more discipline, because discipline is the foundation of our goals being achieved and accomplished.
And it gives you freedom. People think discipline is restricting. Discipline empowers you, makes you free to be powerful.
And I don't think people have clicked that understanding yet. They hear discipline and they're just like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, and I'm going to be stuck here, and it's going to be rigid, and there's no freedom. I'm not going to have any fun. And I've had that mentality too. I've had that understanding.
It's not true.
When my mom was just like, oh, you need discipline. And I'm in my head, I'm just like, I'm running away. No, I'm not. But I think as I've gotten older, I've saw the value of being disciplined and, being really consistent with the goals and the things that I want to achieve. And, I've seen the fruit of what discipline can do once you stick with it. So for all those that are listening, please, we hope that you take this conversation as encouragement. We hope this is a great reminder for you to go and check back in on those goals that you did at the January 1st. Yeah. I am going to do that, so you're not alone whatsoever. And we hope that, you go forth, you continue to break barriers, you do it scared, as Carla said. And we'll catch you next time. Peace.
Bye.